We are still dealing with the remnants of Beryl that came ashore yesterday morning in and around the Matagorda Bay area as an 80-mile-per-hour hurricane that left devastating flooding across these areas. In fact, some double-digit totals down there further south and around the Lake Jackson region, and left many customers without power. In fact, over 2 million still in southeast Texas without power this morning. So this is going to be taking several days, if not up to a week, to get all that power back online. But now the Laria Low Pressure Center is highlighted across Arkansas, spawning its energy further north into Missouri, as well as into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, back into Kentucky. Unfortunately, this area will be the culprit of more tornadoes later on this afternoon. And in fact, if we expand the view and take a look at the big picture, another major headline is just the heat that's really been inundating for much of the West. All these areas highlighted in circles, that is a record high temperature. In fact, 37 of those forecasted from the National Weather Service this afternoon. Essentially in Portland, 104 today. Seattle's 96 degrees. Boise, Idaho, like 105. So you can tell that's plenty hot for them. 117 for Las Vegas. We could top out at 130 in and around the Death Valley region. But you can see the cooler anomalies, especially across the middle part of the country. And these areas highlighted in the square, that is actually a record low maximum for the day, with all the rain and the storms that will be highlighted across Arkansas, Missouri, back into Illinois. Won't even actually get out of the 70s this afternoon. But yesterday was a very impactful day. In fact, this storm came across Galveston early on in the morning, but it spawned numerous tornadoes. In fact, if we break it down from Texas, Louisiana, back into Arkansas here, in fact, there was 110 tornado warnings issued by these three national weather services. That was the most in one day in July ever, folks. So they were extremely busy as the remnants came ashore across East Texas, back into areas of Louisiana, as well as into Arkansas. In fact, even the National Weather Service out of Shreveport, look at this, based on the charts all the way dating back from 1986. They, in fact, issued 67 tornado warnings yesterday just from the National Weather Service out of Shreveport alone. And the first one actually really didn't even get issued until 12:19 in the afternoon. So, well, they were definitely busy in the afternoon. And you can see the second was only 36. So, yes, that was almost double than their most highest impactful day. So they were definitely busy, and the National Weather Service will have their hands cut out for them doing all those surveys to find out how many tornadoes unfolded. But that could at least be another week or so. But right now we do have 13 confirmed as of right now. But overall, the last 24 hours, look at the rainfall precipitation that fell across southeast Texas into East Texas. Some of these were some double-digit totals, especially along the coastal regions. This left a lot of flooding rains in and across this region. Now the heavier rains spread through Arkansas. Now will eventually spread into Missouri, back into Illinois and Indiana and Ohio this afternoon. That's where the low pressure center is this morning, highlighted across northwestern portions of Arkansas. And you can see the deep convection of those greens. That is a lot of precipitation at the higher levels ready to unfold and squeeze out of the atmosphere and dump across this region. And in fact, we are going to be looking at more spin up possible tornadoes as well. Unfortunately, obviously we saw a lot of that yesterday. We're going to have to be in high alert again today for especially those areas that are in the green, the brown, as well as into the yellow shaded areas where they do have a 10% probability of seeing a tornado. So if you live in and around areas of St. Louis, back into Indianapolis, up here into Columbus, as well as into portions of Jackson, back into Louisville, into Paducah, but especially this area highlighted in the yellow shaded area, that's where you have the most prime favorability of seeing a spin up tornado or two. And some of those actually could be a strong tornado. In fact, we had some long track tornadoes yesterday that spawned across Arkansas into Louisiana. So it's still likely going to be another busy day ahead on the tornado front. So definitely be on high alert, especially as we get deeper into the day. And you can see the convection, especially as we kind of heat up the atmosphere and as that low pressure center will continue to spin up. It is now just an area of low pressure, essentially. There's no longer even a tropical depression from Beryl, but the remnants will be leaving a mark over the next couple of days as it continues to lift northeast bound, spawning its energy across the Ohio Valley. And eventually, I think it will eventually get into areas of the Northeast getting into tomorrow. So if we break it down, look at the track. I mean, we've been dealing with Beryl for the last 2 weeks, folks. It literally started off as a African wave coming off the coast, and pretty rare for this time of year. Usually a lot of these get shut down by all the dust in the atmosphere, but this one actually survived. And not only did it survive, it exploded to the strongest storm, earliest on record, category 4, first, earliest category 5, maxing out around 165 miles an hour. So it's actually made 3 separate landfalls with with Beryl, and the last one came ashore yesterday into Galveston. So you can see the track here that still continue to lift northeast, as this area of low pressure will be spinning all the way up into Detroit region going into tomorrow, and eventually this will get up into Toronto, into Canada. Yes, it ends up in Canada after it started off as a wave that came off the African coast. So yeah, as we've been dealing with that for the last 2 weeks. But yes, for tomorrow, we're going to have to be dealing with more tornadoes. Unfortunately, now the bullseye is going to be highlighted across northern portions of Pennsylvania, as well as central New York. So in and around the Buffalo, the Albany region, the Hartford region, those areas will be under the gun for seeing a tornado or two within this atmosphere. So definitely be on high alert, if you live up in that region. So if you break it down for the next 2 days, we can kind of see where the most favorability of the likelihood of seeing a tornado or two within this region is the higher numbers on the Licity tracks kind of maximizes itself across southern portions of Illinois, Indiana, as well as Ohio, but especially as you get into central Kentucky there. And then getting in, then tomorrow that favorite track will be moving into middle portions of New York, as well as into Vermont and New Hampshire. So you're gonna have to be dealing with more possibilities of tornadoes and heavier rains if you break it down for the next 2 days. So obviously under that ridge of high pressure out west, it's just going to be nothing but heat maximizing itself out there. So it's going to be next to impossible to rain any precipitation out of that atmosphere. And it's going to be drying out across the middle of the country as the low pressure center will be pulling all of its moisture and the energy in and around, Missouri, back into Illinois, Indiana, getting into Michigan here, as well as in Ohio. And then heading into tomorrow, it'll be highlighted across New York, back into Vermont and New Hampshire, and then eventually heading up into Maine the deeper in the day on Thursday you get. And then we'll have some tropical sea breeze type moisture that's going to be inundating areas, especially further along the coast you live, in and around Virginia, back into North Carolina, as well as into South Carolina, and especially down here into Florida again, as we head deeper into Thursday. But I think even to Friday, we'll have that tropical moisture just kind of sitting there along the coastal region. So you're going to be areas that are going to be under the gun from South Carolina to North Carolina to Virginia, back up here into Delaware, as well as into New Jersey, into Long Island here. We'll be likely seeing some heavier rain showers into the afternoon time frame. But again, it's just nothing about the heat as we head into the weekend. That ridge of high pressure that's been kind of locked over the west and keeping the cooler anomalies across the middle of the country complements a Beryl. Now that Beryl is going to be moving out, by the time we hit the weekend, the heat will be moving in across the central U.S. So a good part of the country is going to be, essentially going to be hot like it normally is for the middle part of July. But the cool thing about it is we're going to head out to the tropics, and now that Beryl's gone, it's not going to be nothing happening over the next 10 days. So pretty much on the ensemble guidance, it's pretty clear across the entire Atlantic basin. So we've had 3 named storms So it got off to a pretty early start, and now we're going to take a little bit of a respite, especially over the next 7 to 10 days on the tropical front. But the moisture is going to be highlighted across the East Coast as we get into the weekend, with that weakness in the ridge, especially the further along the coastal areas you get, and just that tropical convection moisture that's going to be sitting and pooling across the coastal regions along the East Coast. But again, as we head into Sunday, again, it's just going to be nothing but the heat as it expands, and as the more or less the remnants will be long gone a Beryl by then, the heat will be moving back in to replace it by the time we head towards the middle part of July. And looking at the overall sea surface temperatures, you would think, you know, Beryl would leave a little bit more of a dent in the temperature anomalies, but it really hadn't. So they've come down a little bit, but they're still well above average for this time of year. So even though we are going to take a respite, those sea surface temperature anomalies are still going to be plenty warm, and obviously building back up as we get deeper into the middle part of July. So if we break it down for you, you know, over the next 6-7 days of precipitation through Sunday, you can see where the remnants of Beryl will unfold over the next couple of days, as we're going to be looking at possibilities of more tornadoes across this region, and then heavier rains across the East Coast, and then kind of sea breeze coastal rains, especially as you get into Florida, back into the I-10 corridor, I-20 corridor. But it's mainly going to be along the coastal regions, and the interior regions, especially out west in the central U.S., is going to be turning dry really for the foreseeable future. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update, why I protect you before and after the storm.